Say something, I'm giving up on the stack. Say something, Joe Burrow's toes imploding. The pain cuts way too deep. And Trey will stumble and fall just like Burrow did, and he tore his toe. And he's feeling so small without his QB at all. Say something, Burrow's out for the season. He was drafted too high. Trey's playoff dreams just died. And you will swallow your pride. Burrow threw a couple of picks and he's gone for the year. Say something, Super Stack is gone for good. And Trey's lineup is imploding. And without Burrow, he's cooked. And he's going to the sacko. Anywhere he would have followed Joe. Say something, Burrow's dead. Welcome into the Showtime Fantasy Football Podcast. Today is Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. This is your co-host, Ty Stewart, 2-0 Langston from sunny Dallas, Texas, coming at you live from the second story of a townhome by Love Field. Welcoming in my co-host from Rogers, Arkansas, also coming fresh off a victory. It's Trey and Benz. How we doing, brother?
Pretty good. Just got home from our flag football game. Got 2 user picks. So, sitting back in zone coverage. Pretty good night.
Yeah, always good to come away with some user picks. It was a fun week. It was a fun week in football and fantasy. There was a lot of highlights from week 2. We had a crazy hectic noon window, red zone, capped by that Cowboys-Giants overtime thriller. Brandon Aubrey just banging some field goals. We had a 46-yarder, a 64-yarder, and I believe another 50-yarder in there. He is Aubromatic. All the rookie running backs are bust. Burrow, turf toe. Chiefs are 0-2. Colts are 2-0. And Caleb Johnson just might be the dumbest human alive on planet Earth. But those were just some of the things that made week 2 a fun week. Let's go ahead from a fantasy standpoint and take a look at the Blind Squirrels results from last week. I'll start off. We'll talk about Cannon taking down Josh 121-113 in our first irrelevant matchup from week 2. This one was a battle of 1-0 teams. Cannon outlasted Josh here. Really, this one came down to a few things. There were multiple choose poorlies on both sides. Josh specifically got made fun of pretty heavily in the group chat, rightfully so, for starting Keon Coleman and Hollywood Brown both over Waddle. If he had started Waddle over either one, he would have won the matchup. And then he also started the Broncos defense, which netted him -5 fantasy points there. Got shredded by Daniel Jones. Josh fading his own team, and it cost him here in this matchup. Josh really didn't have a ton of standout performances here other than Malik Neighbors, who, holy moly, 167 and 233 fantasy points, just shredding the Cowboys left and right. We also saw a bounce back performance. Ken Walker, after that horrible week 1, was definitely the better Seattle running back this time around, had 18 fantasy points against the Steelers. And then Jane Daniels got Josh off to a solid start on Thursday night, 23 fantasy points, most of that in garbage time against the Packers. Josh, just Derrick Henry really came back to earth. You know, Henry has some of those bad games every now and then, but usually his bad games are like 6 to 8 points, not 2.3, especially in a game that the Ravens won 41-17 at home. You were pretty shocked to see Henry only score 2 fantasy points. Debo had a stacked touchdown late in that game that just devastated Cannon. But on Cannon's side, speaking of choose poorlies, we got 28 on the bench from Roma Dunze, 22 from Javonte, 17 from JMO, and Igbuka also scored a touchdown on his bench. So Cannon's in kind of a catch-22 situation here. His team is so deep. He hit a lot of his late-round picks that now you have to wonder, is he going to have to make some tough decisions, start sit with some of these starters that are underperforming, like BTJ, 6.9, looked horrible. James Conner's work is getting ceded to Trey Benson more and more every week. Etienne continued to look the part. He followed up his 147-yard week 1 with 15.9 fantasy points, 70 and a touchdown against the Bengals. Saquon continues to be a round 1 stud. Kyron, only 9 points, but still got the work. JSN's looked really good through 2 weeks, 100 yards in this one. And then Patrick Mahomes kind of sealed the win here for Cannon that afternoon window Super Bowl rematch against the Eagles. He threw a late deep bomb touchdown to Deontay Thornton that put Cannon up enough to where what Kyle Pitts did on Monday didn't even end up, or on Sunday night, didn't even end up mattering. So choosing poorly is definitely the theme of this one. Can't really start -5 defenses and expect to win. And Cannon's team just looking good moving forward. Lots of depth.
Yeah, and we're going to introduce a new segment here in our reviews process. I have recently subscribed to NFL Plus, where I get access to the all 22 film. And every week, I'm going to take a look at maybe the top play that I feel like swung a matchup and kind of break down the film on it. So we're going to call it Trey's Film Room here. And so let's pull this up here if it'll let me.
You're going to want to be on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. Wait, what are you trying to do?
I'm just trying to share my screen. Can you see this?
Yeah, I got it up.
Oh, wait, this is the wrong clip.
This segment is presented by Long Attention Spans.
Okay, you can see this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to take a look at that touchdown pass from Mahomes to Thornton because, like you mentioned, this pretty much sealed the win for Cannon. I think this matchup was actually over after the afternoon game. So I think the Chiefs were down 10 at this point with about 3 or 4 minutes left. They're sitting here at the 50-yard line. I think they just got a holding penalty. So it was 1st and 20. So we're going to take a look at this. We'll turn the speed down to about half speed and just hit play. We can kind of talk through what's happening. So you see the Juju come in motion here and then to a 3 set. And then basically if you stop it right here, what you'll see is for some reason this corner in the top came down. I don't really know what coverage this is. It looks like cover 3. But because he came down, he ended up bailing out late. And that free safety over the top ran with Hollywood Brown on the over route. And then this backside corner just let Thornton go completely. And then you can see Mahomes is already launching it from the opposite 40, and he just deep bombs it. And a little bit underthrown, Thornton had to slow down significantly, and then he caught it right at the goal line. The backside corner almost caught up to it, but 60 yards in the air, really impressive, huge play for Cannon. So that's this week in Trey's Film Room.
I love that. Yeah, the Chiefs towards the end of that game, you could tell they were down, they were pressing. Mahomes just kind of started chucking it, and they finally connected on one there for Cannon. So Andy Holloway's touchdown guarantee comes through. Will you take a look at one of our other irrelevant matchups from week 2?
Yeah, this next one was kind of a blowout. We had Circle the Wagons 142, the Bear Jew 117. Luke took care of Will in this one pretty easily, and that was even with Luke's quarterback scoring 2 points. JJ McCarthy, it was already wrapped up by Sunday night, but JJ McCarthy only 2 points for Luke here as he chose poorly with Bo Nix, 26 on the bench. This one could have been an even bigger blowout. But really for Luke, it was just Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sun God, went for 35. That's why you have him in the thumbnail here in our review. 3 touchdowns, all inside the 10. The Lions destroyed the Bears, so it was a quadruple whammy for Will as a Bears fan. Chuba Hubbard, 16. He kind of is a garbage time merchant right now, but he's getting it done for Luke. Christian McCaffrey, of course, 20 burger. That's just what he does every week. Devontae Adams had his first good week as a Ram, another 20 burger. Keenan Allen got in the end zone on Monday night, and that's pretty much all she wrote, 142. I think that's the highest score of the year so far, so pretty good week for Luke's team, and even that's with choosing horribly at quarterback, 2 points from JJ, as I mentioned. Looking at Will's team, 117, you can't be too mad at it. But Lamar did put up 34, so he wastes that performance, 4 touchdowns versus the Browns. Jahmyr Gibbs also had a pretty good game, 18, but the rest of his lineup just really didn't show up. Mike Evans on Monday night could have potentially made it interesting with a miracle game going into the Chargers game, and maybe Luke would have needed something from Keenan, but Mike Evans, only 8 points, kind of a slow start to the season. Same thing with Drake London, only 4 points on Sunday night. Very slow start to his season. So Will's receivers just haven't been getting it done. Hunter Henry, kind of a fooled you off the waiver wire here, streaming tight end. And then Cortland Sutton, bit of a surprise, 1 catch for 6 yards as Troy Franklin. We'll talk more about him in the waiver segment, but Cortland Sutton was relegated to a bum in this game. So honestly, Will just had a few duds. And couldn't quite make up the scoring. Didn't really have too many choose poorlies. I guess you could say Ramondre, but I don't really think anyone was clamoring for Ramondre to get in his lineup. But moving forward, maybe he's got the Patriots starting running back. So this one was just kind of a blowout. Ho hum. Sun God went off, and Will just had some duds.
Yeah, the notes I had from this one were just Luke cannot buy QB production. His quarterbacks are averaging 5 points through the first 2 weeks. So honestly, he's pretty lucky to be 1-1. Will falling to 0-2 is tough. You and I both had him in, I think, our top 3 or 4 rosters after the draft. So to see him fall to 0-2, definitely having some underperformers there. Right now, he's just kind of Lamar and the boys. And then I said Sun God had a triple double because he had 3 touchdowns. Each one's a double whammy, a triple double. All right.
Love that.
Our last irrelevant matchup from week 2, we had the Mickey Mouse win of the week here as Andrew takes care of the Oracle 113-99. Yeah, this one was just kind of a muck fest. Nothing really stands out even to me. It's just kind of a balanced effort overall from Andrew. 15 from Bucky, 15 from Lamb. He actually got 13 from waiver wire tight end Jim, Jawan Johnson. He got 9 each from flex. 26 is a very healthy DST kicker combination there. Got the Caleb Johnson gaff. I guess would that have been 6 points or 8? Does he get a fumble recovery for that? I think it's just the wait. Yeah, I think it's just the touchdown.
It's just it says fumble return touchdown, which is interesting
because no 2 points for the fumble. Yeah. Interesting. And then they ended up getting 2 picks as well. So 16 points for the Seattle DST is really good. Trevion continues to be a pretty big bust, only 10 yards, barely played in this game, 5 fantasy points. I can't imagine we see him in Andrew's lineup anytime soon. And then Josh Allen, the Bills won and they scored 30, but it was mostly on the back of the running backs. Josh Allen, 11 fantasy points. Definitely not what you want to see from your stud QB1, but it's enough to get the Mickey Mouse win here for Andrew, 113, all he needed because Max did not even get to triple digits, 99 fantasy points. The running backs are a problem for Max right now. He was wise enough to bench Isaiah Pacheco. I think I made a joke saying he wouldn't be last week. He did bench Pacheco, but it didn't really matter. It was just in favor. Actually, Pacheco would have been better than either guy he started. Aaron Jones 2.3. He hurt his hamstring in the second quarter. I don't know why he started Aaron Jones. He asked before the game, Jordan Mason or Aaron Jones. I told him Jordan Mason. And then Amari Hampton, just another one of those rookie running backs that is off to a rough start. 3 fantasy points for him in that Monday night game. Just Max, he actually had a pretty decent chance going into Monday night. It was essentially Amari Hampton versus Jacoby Myers and Bucky Irving. Is that?
Yeah.
Maybe. Oh, Nico Collins was also there.
And Stroud.
Yeah, I mean, I actually thought Max potentially, and ESPN had it this way, I believe, was favored, maybe even like 51, 52% over Andrew going into Monday night. But Stroud and Nico Collins hooked up for an early stack touchdown, but really didn't do much the rest of the game. As soon as that stack happened, we were all kind of like, Oracle, oh, this is it. Oh, Andrew's going to – no. They did nothing the rest of the game. Amari Hampton put up a 3, and then Max loses. So Max falls to 0-2. He's got a huge running back issue right now. Was his first draft? Yeah, I guess his first draft for Marcus Amari, because he went Nico, Puka, and then Hampton around 3. So that's tough when you wait till round 3 to draft your first running back, and it's a rookie who is terrible. Marvin Harrison also fell back to earth, 3.7 fantasy points. Looks a lot more like rookie year Marv. And other than that, I mean, yeah, just another terrible week for Max. 0-2, headed to the sacko. Andrew improves to 2-0.
I like how you were bragging about, like, you told him he should have started Jordan Mason over Aaron Jones when Jordan Mason scored 4.8 points.
So more than double what Aaron Jones scored.
Yeah, this one just kind of felt like Andrew escaped with a win, undeserved win here. Not really much else to say. Yeah, Andrew's team only scored 2 touchdowns, and one of them was that Caleb Johnson return. Like, this was really a lucky win for Andrew. Also got some insight from Max tonight at Flag Football. He's pretty devastated that he can't beat Andrew in fantasy. I don't know. I think Max has lost his mojo. I'm not really sure how he's going to get it back. I think he's just dejected, unmotivated, depressed. He's feeling all the things right now. I feel like we need to find a pick-me-up for the Oracle, but he's not feeling his fantasy mojo right now.
And this segment is brought to you by BetterHelp.
All right. No one cares about those matchups. We're going to get into the Showtime matchups of the week presented by AirPods. Looking at your matchup with Jerry, you took this one down. White shirt 128, Renaissance 106. Yeah, Jerry didn't put up much of a fight in this one. Looking at your team, who got the dub for you? Drake May, pretty good game against Miami as expected. 30 burger for Drake May, 3 touchdowns there. Josh Jacobs got you off to a pretty solid start on Thursday night with 14. And you felt pretty good going into the weekend because he had McLaurin and Jaden Reed on Thursday night, and they combined for only 7. Jaden Reed, pretty unfortunate for Jerry. 2 weeks in a row, he's had a receiver get hurt early in the game on a Thursday or Friday with 0 points. And so tough scenes, especially because it was on a touchdown that got called back by Jaden Reed. So pretty tough start for Jerry. Couldn't really make up for it. But Josh Jacobs, 14 points there for you. T. Higgins got in the end zone as well, 13. Tetaroa, also 13. So you had some just kind of solid contributors down the board. James Cook was honestly your big stud. He's been your big stud all year. He's the number one running.
Anyone can cook.
He had an insane touchdown run.
This
game, like a 45-yard touchdown run. He just amazing.
Looks like Luke Rapert back at Woodland Junior High.
Amazing footwork, and then just accelerated away from the defense. 26 points. He's been probably your MVP. And then you just kind of, you had some disappointments from Genty and I guess Pearsall, but overall you just kind of got it done. 128. Kind of a choose poorly there. Jalen Warren could have been in the lineup with 15, but you're not kicking yourself too much because you got the win. Looking at Jerry's team, he's 0-2. We kind of shit on Jerry's team after the draft, and it seems to be coming true here in real life. But Devon Achane was definitely a bright spot, 22 points. He had a solid game. Again, honestly, that Thursday night Thursday night and Sunday night was really his big just qualms here because 7 points between McLaurin and Jaden Reed. And then Sunday night, it was pretty much over, but he could have had a miracle comeback if Jefferson and Hawkinson combined for like 40 or something. But Hawkinson only 1.7. Honestly, Hawkinson kind of looks washed. I'm a little surprised he hasn't been dropped, but he just doesn't look very good. JJ McCarthy was horrible, and that affected Justin Jefferson as well. Only 3 catches for 81 yards. And that included kind of a lucky 50-yard catch at the end of the half, if I remember right. So Jefferson's off to a bad start. Hawkinson was horrible. And then, Kyler was pretty bad against Carolina, only 16. You'd like to think he'd do better in that matchup. So just a lot of duds for Jerry and no studs besides Achane. Only 106. You're not really going to expect to win. Choose poorly. He definitely could have gone Baker at quarterback. It wouldn't have made the difference in this matchup. And then honestly, the rest of his bench is horrible. So Jerry's kind of licking his wounds here. Not really sure where to go. This was kind of an easy bye-week win for you. But what were your thoughts on this one as it transpired? Anything that I hadn't really covered?
No, he sucks. Stuffed him into a locker. Bye week. Bum. Moving on. Our last Showtime matchup of week 2 while we close the book on week 2, presented by Gatorade Zero. Trayton Benz, as predicted by both members of the Showtime pod last week, got the dub here, 123 to 115. You beat Cole. You needed it. You were 0-1 coming into this week. Didn't want to fall to 0-2. And you have 2 main people to thank for this victory. One being Jonathan Taylor, 28.5 fantasy points, 165 yards, a rare receiving touchdown for Jonathan Taylor. He was running wild all over the Denver Broncos. A double whammy for Walker as he watches the Broncos lose in Indianapolis off of a horrible penalty. And then Jamar Chase, the 101. We called him out last week. We said, Jamar Chase, if you want to be the real 101, show yourself in week 2. And he did that with a 30-burger, 29.5 fantasy points, 14 catches, 165 yards, and a touchdown at home against the Jags. Most of that was not from Joe Burrow, as this is maybe the most brutal win of all time in the history of fantasy football. Joe Burrow finishes with 9 points. He was on his way. You could just see it. He was on his way to a massive game. Probably would have ended up with at least 30, you would imagine. But early in the game, he falls down, needs help off the field, yada, yada, to the locker room. And then it ends up that he tore a ligament in his toe. He has turf toe, and he will be out for 3 months. Just horrible. Browning came in and looked okay. He threw 3 picks, but he also was able to get the ball to Jamar and Higgins. Okay. Was the Burrow touchdown was to Chase, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I did get
you got a stack. Your super stack produced 1 stack touchdown. Just kind of a disaster here for you with how much draft capital you put into these 3 guys. But for right now, we'll just kind of focus on the win in this matchup. Your 2 Jags coming back did not really produce the DFS-like boom that you were looking for. Hunter, 3 for 22, Strange 3 for 17. Kind of saw that coming from those 2, just not really consistent, reliable plays at this point. Tyreek Hill, it was a nice surprise to see him go over 100 yards from the flex position, had his first 30-plus yard catch in over a calendar year. And then Calvin Ridley, who you inexplicably played over J.K. Dobbins, had 7 points. You're lucky that didn't cost you the victory. J.K. Dobbins was the obvious start, you dumbass. And then for Cole actually at one point, once Burrow got hurt, it looked like he might have walked this one in, but once the afternoon window started, his scoring kind of came to a screeching halt. The Eagles Chiefs game was in that 2:30 window. Hurts and AJ Brown combining for 16 is just devastating. Hurts is off to a weird start. It almost feels like the Eagles are not throwing it all. They're just trying to win, handing off to Saquon, playing defense. It's almost like he's literally just become like a tush push merchant, and everything he can get off the tush push is his fantasy output. Brees Hall fell back to earth, 4.8. Tucker Kraft actually did get him off to a really good start on Thursday. I know you were pretty butthurt all the way from Thursday to Sunday, staring at that 21.4 fantasy point performance on Tucker Kraft, especially when you could have drafted Kraft over Kincaid or Loveland, and you're sitting here starting Britton Strange. You watch Kraft go for 120 yards and a touchdown on you, but did not end up mattering because the flexes were a disappointment from Cole, 7.1 from DJ Moore, 11.4 from Zay Flowers. Brandon Aubrey was actually his highest scorer, 23 points from a kicker. I know you were probably kind of butthurt just watching him bang 50 after 50-yarder, knowing that they were all going to go in no matter what. And then the scenario entering Sunday Night Football was Cole had Bijan and Lad McConkey left, and he was down 30-something, like 35 maybe. Does that sound right?
Something like that.
Bijan had a really good game, 18 fantasy points, 143 rushing yards, looked great, but just the Falcons kept stalling out. He never got in the end zone, and that left Lad McConkey on Monday Night Football against the Vegas Raiders needing like 15.7 fantasy points to get Cole the victory, and he comes up well short of that, 7.3. Trey seals the dub at midnight on Monday, sent a bunch of annoying, obnoxious texts to Cole for him to wake up to. Trey, you got the victory. You're 1-1. You lost your stack. What are the vibes coming off this week 2 dub?
Yeah, when I lost Burrow, I kind of wrote the week off. I accepted that I was 0-2. The season was a disaster. I was getting the sacko again. This was all running through my head, but this kind of just showed my fantasy experience, the veteran in me, that I was able to bounce back from that adversity. Jonathan Taylor went off in the afternoon window, and Hurts and Brown bageled, and that's kind of what gave me a chance. And then I got pretty lucky that Bijan didn't score a touchdown because honestly, he had a monster game in real life. And then, Lad just didn't get the touchdowns. They went to Keenan and Quentin Johnston. So, this was just a hard fought, gritty win by me. I do have Jonathan Taylor to thank, which that does bring me to my second film segment of the week. This is the Glaze of the Week presented by Trey. The Glaze of the Week will go to Jonathan Taylor as we look at one more piece of film here. So I'm going to show you this like 50, 60-yard run that Jonathan Taylor had near the end of the game. And I've slowed it down to 0.25 speed so we can really analyze it. But I've watched it from the end zone angle a couple of times, and he is so amazing. So, all right, let's watch this. So I think it's, let's see. So it's really just some kind of inside zone, and 93 doesn't even get blocked. Maybe it's a wham block here. So yeah, it's some kind of wham block from Tyler Warren. But you can see there's really not a lot here. Okay. Pittman also washes down this guy on the end, so everything gets washed down. So Jonathan Taylor, look, he got contacted in the backfield by number 93, and so you see number 49 coming, you see Surtain coming over here, number 2, and so Jonathan Taylor, if you pause it right here, you can kind of see where he's gonna cut back to, but 49's already on skates here, Alex Singleton. But Jonathan Taylor cuts inside of him, and then boom, right here. I thought he might take this lane right here, but he squeezes between Singleton and then this guy getting blocked. Stiff arm 0. Patrick Surtain can't catch him. The safety takes a bad angle. He outruns both of them and then just runs 50 yards. So I'll back this up.
Jeez.
And go at full speed, because when you play it at full speed, you can really appreciate like the quickness and the cuts here. So, all right, let's watch it at full speed. boom.
Sheesh.
Just outruns the safety and Surtain, takes it 50 yards.
Gets caught. I know you were butthurt he didn't score a touchdown there.
Yeah, didn't score a touchdown, but that's the glaze of the week. Jonathan Taylor, thank you for being amazing at football. And I guess we can head to our next segment, which I believe is the waiver wire.
No, it's not time for the waiver. It is stock up, stock down. Who are you feeling better about coming off week 2?
Yeah, stock up. Stock up. I'm gonna go. God, it's kind of hard. I'm gonna try to ignore the trade aspect of this. I'm just gonna look at because that could kind of affect it. I'm gonna go with you here for stock up. We kind of talked about it before, but James Cook is just kind of in a monster, and I feel like he takes your team up another level. Now I know Ashton Genty is we're having some question marks about Ashton Genty. Was he a Mountain West merchant? That's still to be determined, but you're sitting here at 2-0, and I think the biggest reason your team is stock up is because you have Rashee Rice suspended and you're just sitting on him. And then also Jalen Warren is kind of you've had some breakouts. Jalen Warren, James Cook, Tyler Warren, Tedero McMillan. And then you also have Rashee Rice coming back. So I feel like you're set up pretty well here at 2-0. As long as you can just keep treading water, keep getting wins, you're going to definitely make a run and have a strong team once Rashee Rice comes back.
Yeah, good pick there by you. I'm going to go with Cannon for my stock up. I think I might even picked him last week. So at this point, I'm just blowing Cannon. But, I mean, it's hard not to with his roster. He's got Rome Odunze completely breaking out, 28 fantasy points on the bench. He's got so many good players. He didn't even know who to start. He's got Jamo scoring 17. Javonte looks legit. 2 weeks in a row. He backed up week 1 with 22 in week 2. Mahomes, he drafted Mahomes like round 10, and he looks like a top 6-ish fantasy quarterback. Saquon's still a stud. Looks like all the crybaby fantasy analysts that said he was going to get hurt were wrong. Really the only, like, ETN's been good. JSN's been good. The only negatives so far for Cannon's team are BTJ and Kyle Pitts, and like neither one of those are like massive concerns to me yet. Pitts because he's super replaceable, and BTJ it's just been a few weeks and we know how good he is. So I don't know. Stock up for Cannon. Just feel like his team continues to trend. I think the biggest thing from this week was that like Igbuka. There's some volume stuff with Igbuka, but like Rome, Javonte, and ETN following up week 1 with week 2 great performances really solidifies his roster to me. Like if those guys had come out and laid an egg this week, you'd say, oh, week 1 was a fluke. He's still got a bummy roster. But now Rome becomes a must-start. Javonte becomes close to a must-start. And ETN, you just kind of ride the hot hand while it's there. So stock up for Cannon. All right. Who is your stock down?
I'm going to go with Max, kind of taking a low-hanging fruit here, but pretty tough scenes. He had an okay week 1, I feel like, but just Amari and Hampton, honestly, in round 3 is starting to look like one of the worst picks of the draft. Only 3 points this week. Najee Harris is working in more. He just doesn't look special, and they're not really using him, so that's a tough pick. Marvin Harrison Jr., you thought week 1, maybe he's taking a second-year leap, but he kind of looks like a complete bum, same guy he was as a rookie. Garrett Wilson fell back to earth. Justin Fields sucked and got hurt. So, I don't know. I feel like I look up and down Max's roster. He still has concerns about Stroud and Nico Collins. He lost Justin Fields, who he picked up off waivers. So now he has no quarterback unless he's going to go with Stroud again, who's still terrible. So there's really just not a lot to love here other than Puka Nacua. And I don't know. This is starting to look like an early favorite for Sacko.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the real favorite for Sacko. I'm going to go with Jerry. I just, you could kind of feel it with me playing him this week. There was never any question that he was going to do anything. You lose Jaden Reed, who shouldn't even – it was embarrassing you were starting Jaden Reed in the first place. J.J. McCarthy looks horrible, and that ruins 2 of your players. and then you're starting Tyler Murray. I don't know. Just seems like A-Chain is like the only rosterable player on his team. Mop is this is kind of the year Gibbs is really taking over from Mop. Even in a game where the Lions did whatever they want, he only scores 12. And then you look at his bench, just a bunch of waiver wire fodder. Blake Corum, Christian Kirk. First of all, he's got so many hurt players. He's got Reed, Worthy, Godwin, Kirk. They're all hurt. Brian Robinson is a complete handcuff. Blake Corum, handcuff. There's no upside. There's no depth. His first round pick is a bust. A-Chain's the only redeemable player on his team. So, and then McLaurin's off to a slow start because of the holdout. But yeah, he's going to need another renaissance here to even avoid the sacko. All right, now it is time for the waiver wire. Your waiver wire today is presented by David's Candles. All right, we have got. Let me try to pull up the screen here. All right. We got your waiver wire here. Kind of a boring waiver wire, in my opinion. Not a ton of sweepstakes. I think the highest winning bid was actually a defense, which you rarely see. Now, Luke definitely overspent here on the Packers D, $31 of fab. The next highest bid was Cannon with 8. Cole had a 7. Will 5. Me 3. Yeah, I noticed you didn't really bid on them. Why not?
I just figured some idiot would spend $31, so might as well not try.
Yeah, this was your overspend of the week presented by Bank of America. And then we get to the BOGO Caniacs with the next highest winning bid of the week. $30 for Caleb Williams. No other bids. What the hell were you thinking? I get adding him, but $30? What, do you just not care about fab at all?
I wasn't gonna bid much on him, but then I saw like Jaden Daniels is supposed to be out. And maybe out. Josh didn't even bid on any quarterbacks. Max doesn't have any quarterback. He didn't bid on a quarterback. Like, I was looking through, and there was actually a few teams that could have used a quarterback, and none of them bid on him, which is fine. I just decided though I really wanted him, and I was just gonna. Like, here's the thing: I've already bid enough fab where I'm losing any sweepstakes, for like some amazing handcuff that's going to go for $180. So it's actually makes sense for me to just be aggressive and try to get the lower level guys I want every week, because I'm not going to win any sweepstakes anyways. So I might as well just guarantee myself the guys I want.
Yeah, I don't know what you would have done without Nail Painter. You probably would have just had to quit the league. So good job by you. And then another $30 bid. You're just tossing out $30 bids like candy here. Jake Ferguson, David Njoku, who you traded for to waivers. And then next highest bid here was Will with 5. So a $25 overspend, $55 total of fab wasted by you just to lock up a couple of waiver onesies. Are you just targeting that Bears Cowboys game as a shootout? Are these guys players you're hoping to start for multiple weeks, rest of season? What are the thoughts here? Are these just Band-Aid plays with Burrow going out and Strange sucking? Or are you targeting full season options?
I mean, I'm definitely targeting that Bears Cowboys game. It's like a high over under. I like getting the quarterback and tight end on both sides, and I was pretty desperate for both onesies. Ferguson, I'm actually pretty excited about rest of season. He's like leading tight ends and targets right now, and the Cowboys defense is so bad. I could see them just having to throw a lot, and I like Fergie quite a bit. I'll probably just slide him in at tight end. Quarterback is a little more fluid, but honestly, for how bad Caleb has looked at times, he's scored 20 points both weeks, and Odunze looks good. Their defense looks bad. So I don't mind Caleb Williams. I overspent on both, but I'm glad I got them for this week. And we'll see what happens the rest of the season.
Yep. Next highest winning bid was myself grabbing Denver wide receiver Troy Franklin for $26, outbidding Josh by 10. He had a $6 bid, Cole with a 2, Andrew with a 1, Luke with a 0. This one was simple. I had Cedric Tillman and Io Manor. Just felt like Franklin showed a little more juice. He's in his second year. He's got that Oregon connection with Bo Nix, coming off a 9-target, 8 for 88 and a touchdown game. He saw his highest snap share of his career. It just seems like he's taken that wide receiver 2 role in Denver. They traded Vele. They're fading out Mims into more of a special teams role. Sutton is still the alpha, but I think we saw this week what Franklin's capable of. And yeah, I just think that offense is going to be pretty good this year, and I wanted a piece of that. So for $26, thought it's a good speculative ad for the bench.
Wait, what was the second highest bid on him?
That would be $16.
Okay, so not a bad overspend by you. I feel like you calculated that correctly.
Yeah.
What about?
I really just wanted to send the turtle GIF every time he does something in the group chat.
I feel like you kind of bailed on Io Manor after a good game, just not really buying it, or what?
I think the more I thought about it, Cam Ward, I don't believe in him in terms of like this year as a rookie passing production. I don't think he's going to have a ton of 300-yard games or anything, and I do think Ridley's still the one. So I will never feel good about starting Io Manor ever because he's going to get 5 to 7 targets from a rookie who's going to throw 250 yards. So I don't know. He's made some cool plays. He had that over-the-shoulder one-handed grab, that cool touchdown that Cam Ward threw like 80 yards across the field. But I think he's more of a deep league dynasty type play. I don't really see him as a 10-team redraft guy. So I prefer Franklin.
That's fair.
And then, all right, a couple other winners here. Renaissance on the board, $22 for Wan'Dale Robinson coming off of his career high. I think he had like 140 yards, deep ball touchdowns. Cowboys. Jerry was desperate for some viable depth. He adds some here with Wan'Dale. Is he just getting fooled by one big game, or do you think maybe Wan'Dale could end up being any sort of consistent startable option for Jerry?
Yeah, I don't hate Wan'Dale for Jerry. Honestly, if Russ keeps playing anything close to that, Wan'Dale could be a flexible type player. And we talked about earlier, Jerry's bench was so bad. He needed guys like Wan'Dale just at the end of his bench.
And then I somehow outmaneuvered Luke by winning the Falcons D for $0 when he had a $7 bid in for them. I guess once he got the Packers, whoever he dropped was out of play. So then I just picked him up for free. Falcons D taking on Bryce Young, who's looked horrible, and they just lost 2 linemen. So like that play for me. Luke adds Chris Rodriguez for $5. No other bids. Cannon adds the Colts D for $3. No other bids. Luke adds Jordan Love for $3. You had a $0 bid that was unsuccessful. We'll get into that later. And then the rest of this is just who cares? Darnell Mooney back on Andrew's team for like the 20th time, where I think he's already dropped Darnell Mooney and someone else picked him up. So yeah, this Romeo Dobbs, $0, Buccaneers D, Joey Sly, just a bunch of garbage. Who cares? Any big takeaways from waivers? Feels like this was a pretty crummy waiver wire week for week 2.
Yeah, nothing too big. I feel like we still haven't had that like huge bidding war that is coming at some point. So usually you get something in the first 2 weeks, but we'll just have to keep monitoring.
Yep. All right, now it is time for everyone's favorite segment.
Dun, dun, dun. Trade review. All right. So really just had the one big trade, 3-way trade that happened today. Breaking news. So still trying to process it all, but I did create a helpful graphic here. I'm going to share my screen again. Okay. All right. So this is kind of a summary. I know these three-way trades are kind of tough to gather, but basically we had Josh, Cole, and Luke kind of swapping players. So I've got at the top what each team added, and the bottom what each team traded away. And so we're going to kind of try to keep track of all this, and we'll talk about it from each team's perspective. Maybe you feel like who won, who lost. I know you kind of alluded to you don't really feel like Cole got enough value. So we're going to try to tackle this. So let's first look at it from Josh's perspective. So let's just, oh shit. All right, we're going to hide Cole and Luke real quick. Okay. Looking at Josh's side of it. Okay, so really Charbonnet for RJ Harvey, I kind of view as a wash.
You need to have Neighbors on the Departed for Josh.
You're right. Good call. Okay.
I was about to say it looks pretty good right there.
Charbonnet for Harvey is kind of a wash, I feel like. Harvey probably has more upside, but with Josh having Ken Walker, I don't hate locking up Charbonnet just to make when Ken Walker gets hurt, it's nice to grab Charbonnet. So that I feel that part is a wash. So
I would take Charbonnet over Harvey regardless of Walker.
Yeah, I think either way, though, those are bench running backs for the most part. Looking at the receivers, he traded 3 receivers for 4 receivers. And so you give up Debo, Neighbors, and Waddle. And then you get A.J. Brown, Ladd, Zay, and DJ Moore. This was like a full swap of receiving cores. I don't feel like we've ever seen a trade like this in our league. It was really just weird.
It was an absolute blockbuster.
I mean, it makes sense for Cole because like most of his guys were underperforming except for Zay, and so maybe he just wanted like a full reset. But I guess right now we're just looking at it from Josh's perspective. So he definitely gave up the best receiver in this deal by far with Neighbors, and then arguably, based on what we've seen, Debo is second or third. Now, rest of season, I think you'd probably take A.J. Brown and Ladd over Debo. But honestly, the way Debo's playing, I think it's definitely it's risky to give him up right now, especially considering Josh has Jaden Daniels.
You also forgot Hollywood, by the way, on the Departed.
Okay, he's irrelevant, but I will add him. Okay. Yeah, he gave up the stack of Debo and Jaden Daniels. Not that it's like the best stack ever, but that was probably nice to have, especially because Debo can get rushing touchdowns and you have a little safety there if that were to happen. And, I don't actually love A.J. Brown as a buy low. I'm pretty concerned about what the Eagles have been doing, and he could just have a bad year. Ladd, I don't really love Ladd as a buy low either. I think, yes, Herbert looks great. The Chargers are passing more, but Quinn Johnson and Keenan Allen are not going away. And so really you're asking Ladd to somehow increase the targets he's seen or be way more efficient on them. I'm not sure either is coming. Like he's definitely a startable receiver. I don't know that he's definitely better than Debo though. And then, Zay and DJ Moore, Zay, I like a lot. Zay's been a piece that early on looks like he's taken a step forward. So I like that addition. And then DJ Moore, buy low. Bears offense has looked pretty solid, at least in week 2. And so I don't hate that. And you gave up like Hollywood's a bum. Waddle, I don't know. Waddle gets hurt every year, and the Dolphins could just be like a ship that's sinking. So this one's a little hard to analyze from Josh's perspective because he gave up Neighbors, and that's easily the best receiver here to me. But
could he not have got receivers 2 through 5 back though, in terms of all of them put together?
I disagree. I think Debo is pretty clearly at least 4th, probably 3rd for me.
Wait, you're taking Debo over Zay Flowers?
Yes.
Yeah, you're a moron.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess if you're going to give away Neighbors, this is the kind of quality depth you want coming back. So I don't actually hate it from Josh's standpoint, but I wouldn't say I loved it just because he's doing a lot of buy lows here, and so that's taking a risk when you're selling guys who are hot right now with Debo and Neighbors. So what did you let's get your thoughts by team. So what did you think about it just from Josh's perspective?
I thought Josh fleeced here, and I'm actually a pretty big Neighbors guy. I just think I do think he got, like, after Neighbors, the obvious number one player in the deal. I think he got 2, 3, 4, and maybe even 5. To me, Lad and Zay are great. I'm not really an AJ Brown guy, but he's not going to end the year bad. Like, he always ends up as a top 12, top 15 receiver. So I'm not a Brown guy. I don't like the weekly floor, I mean, as low as it is with the tush push and everything, but he's going to have big games. He's going to be a dominant number one receiver. And then Lad and Zay, to me, are just really good players. DJ Moore and Debo are kind of the two. I'm like, who is that fifth best receiver in the deal? Is it DJ Moore? Is it Debo? It's kind of a wash to me. I think Debo has shown that he's gotten in a little bit better shape. He's turned back the clock. He's still got that yak ability, and Jane Daniels has been good for him, but Jane Daniels is hurt right now. Who knows if this lingers? Caleb Williams, he hasn't looked great as an NFL quarterback, but he's been able to distribute the ball mostly to Rome Odunze, but that pendulum should swing back in DJ Moore's favor at some point. And I personally, if you have Ken Walker, I think Charbonnet locking up that backfield, Ken Walker's injury prone, I think that's a great ad. I mean, if Ken Walker goes down now, Charbonnet becomes a top 5 back, and you're never getting out of RJ Harvey. So obviously it hurts bad to lose Neighbors, but I think Josh picked up 5 really quality pieces here. You can start at least 3 of them. I think he's already starting all 4. I think he's starting all 4 of the receivers already. So I thought this was a great trade for Josh. Neighbors will have some games where it makes you feel dumb, but overall, I think he added more quality pieces than he gave away for sure.
Okay, so it sounds like I just value Debo a little more than you do, and I think I don't value Lad and AJ Brown quite as high as you. Like I think if we redrafted today, he just traded a first round pick for a couple fourth round picks, which
I think Lad a little less so, but AJ Brown, he's got the pedigree and history. Like, when you put up as many top seasons as he has, you're not going to be dissuaded that much by 2 bad weeks. You shouldn't be, at least.
Yeah, that's fair. I think we can at least agree it wasn't bad for Josh, and it got him some quality depth and Charbonnet, so I think it makes some sense. All right, let's look at it from actually, let's go to Luke next because I want to finish with Cole.
Yeah, you want to finish Cole? What the?
All right, looking at Luke's is a little more straightforward and honestly pretty easy. He added Justin Herbert, which I do think he needed to add quarterback. That made a lot of sense with Bo Nix, and just what you alluded to, his quarterback has not done well. And then Cole having Herbert and Hurts, it made sense for him to get rid of one. So I actually like that for Luke. And then he also added Debo and Waddle. So a solid wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 that he can kind of mix and match. And then he gave up Charbonnet, which I don't feel like he was ever really going to be playing Charbonnet. Romeo Dobbs, he literally just added from waivers this week. And then DK, which, I like DK. He's a wide receiver 2, but he hadn't really shown much ceiling yet this year. And to get 2 quality playable receivers and an upgraded quarterback, honestly, this was probably like the easy winner for me of the trade, where it almost felt like Luke just like took advantage of Cole and Josh making a trade and used it to upgrade his team without really giving away anything.
Yeah, I mean, this is an auto accept if you're Luke, just because of the quarterback. You were averaging 5 points from the quarterback position. You're able to pick up a guy who is really talented, looks like he's breaking out. I think he's QB 2 or 3 right now. Herbert just looks great. So I think you ride that hot hand. The only way I see Luke really regretting this trade is if Ken Walker goes down. He wishes he would have held on to Charbonnet as a lottery ticket, or maybe if Aaron just force feeds DK like 12 to 14 touchdowns this year. But I don't know. I think he needed quarterbacks so bad that Herbert coming in to stabilize that position for him makes the trade worth it either way. Like it a lot for Luke. I think, I'll give him an A+ on this one.
All right, now we're going to go to Cole. Okay, so Cole adds RJ Harvey and doesn't give away a running back, so I guess he's boosting maybe some of his like running back depth and maybe potential upside if Harvey ever reaches his potential. And then he trades away Herbert when he has hurt, so you're not really losing much there, but I do think he could have gotten more for Herbert. But then just kind of looking at the receivers, basically the inverse somewhat of Josh, where he traded away AJ Brown, Ladzay, and DJ Moore, but then he gets back Neighbors, DK, and Hollywood. So it's like a consolidation of depth, but what I'm confused about is like I don't feel like he had the depth to make this trade, because like let me add some context. When I go to Cole's team right now with Neighbors and DK starting, his flexes are Hollywood and Khalil Shakir. And so to me, Hollywood is a bum. Like we saw, he had all the opportunity in the world against the Eagles, and he was horrible. And in week 1, he just got a bunch of targets and did nothing with them. To me, he's unstartable. I wouldn't even roster him. Xavier Worthy's coming back. I hate Hollywood. Shakir is a known bum in half PPR. He's really not even someone you want to start in full PPR.
A known bum.
When you look at the rest of his bench, I might have forgot to add that he got Romeo Dobbs too, but he's irrelevant for the most part. I mean, he's someone you could throw in there out of desperation, but Josh Downs, Rashad White, Rico Dowdle, like he doesn't really have the depth to make a trade where you're trading away 4 quality starting receivers and your really good backup quarterback. Like I think what would have made sense for Cole is trading away Herbert and a receiver for a better receiver. Like, why couldn't you just do Herbert and AJ Brown for Neighbors? Not saying that he could have got that done, obviously, but that's what the kind of thing I would have been looking to do versus also giving up Ladzay, DJ Moore, and only getting Harvey and DK and Hollywood back. Like, I don't know. This felt like kind of a panic move by Cole. Like he's just so like upset about AJ Brown and maybe how Ladd has started and DJ Moore. They just like, I'm just going to ship everyone off for whatever offer I get. And if I get Malik Neighbors back, no matter what else is in the deal, I'm just going to press accept. And I don't know. This was pretty bad from Cole. I think he's going to look back and feel like he could have gotten way more. And he basically needs Malik Neighbors to like average 20 points a game going forward for this to pay off in any respect. And he honestly needs DK to average like 15 points a game. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of hated this for Cole. I feel like you did too, but what did you think?
I mean, the nicest thing I can say about it is that he got the best player in the deal.
Yeah.
Neighbors, you said he needs to average 20. He's averaging 22 right now. He is the wide receiver 1. I think the path for this working out for Cole is AJ Brown continues to disappoint, Ladd continues to disappoint, and Neighbors isn't just an absolute superstar because Herbert was expendable. DJ Moore, I mean, he was an active detriment to his lineup at that point. And then really, I wish he had found a way to hold on to Zay because Zay was like a gem that he had drafted. He was doing so well. You just like to find a way to keep him. He probably couldn't get the deal done without him, but I would like it so much more if he'd been able to hang on to Zay. But yeah, I mean, it's tough to lose trades when you get the best player in the deal, but I think that's what we saw here in Cole's situation. I agree with you that Hollywood and Romeo, I don't really see as anything much more than throw-ins, and I'm going to have to put Harvey in that same category as well until we see anything to the contrary. I mean, 6 carries week 1, 5 carries week 2, 2.9 fantasy points. His role is not increasing. I think if you're a Harvey owner, you're kind of just hoping Dobbins does what he does most years and gets hurt. But I don't think he's a better lottery ticket than Charbonnet at all. So Yeah, I'm gonna give Cole like a D plus here, and this is coming from someone that loves Malik Neighbors. So
All right, that's all we got for trade review. I do like the blockbuster. The three ways are always interesting to try and navigate like how it came about. And I didn't really know what was going on here. I heard rumors that we might have a trade breaking in the middle of the pod. I don't know if you have any more info on that, or just not gonna
rumors of a
happen.
trade.
Oh!
Holy.
Wait, is this real?
QJ,
Are you kidding me?
QJ, QJ,
You did not do
QJ,
this.
QJ, QJ, QJ,
Are you-
QJ, QJ,
You're serious.
QJ.
This isn't this. You're not pranking me in the middle of trade review.
No, this is a real trade.
Okay, so just hot off the presses, 1-for-1, receiver for receiver. Ty trades T. Higgins to Josh for Quentin Johnston. So, wow, help me process this because I feel like this doesn't really make any sense from you. T. Higgins was your fourth round pick, early fourth round pick. He scored a touchdown with Jake Browning, and yes, Joe Burrow's out. He has a backup quarterback, but it's still T. Higgins. I feel like he carries a lot of value in a lot of people's eyes, and you just traded him for a guy that Josh got off of waivers for not that much fab last week, and has looked pretty good, had a long touchdown, but is in a three-way wide receiver committee that he's not necessarily the one or the two. He could be the three on any given week. He probably is the three. He does score touchdowns, but I feel like he's been kind of a inconsistent bust his whole career. And so are you really just betting that he's fully turned his career around and he's going to have a breakout year? Because I feel like you have to give away T. Higgins for that. That just feels extremely risky.
Yeah, I think for me, I spent all day today trying to get rid of Meat Higgins. I was working the phones starting at like 8 a.m. texting people about Meat. I think I've offered everyone in the entire league a trade for T. Higgins at some point. I just kind of was determined to get him off my team ASAP. I don't like what I've seen out of Browning. The splits with Higgins with and without Burrow are abysmal. And I just decided I would rather have a piece of what Justin Herbert is doing right now than what Jake Browning is going to do the rest of the season. I mean, if you think about it, Ladd and Keenan are kind of the short area possession slot guys that are getting the first downs. But Herbert's got one of the nicest deep balls in the league. And when he throws it deep, the field stretcher for them right now is Quentin Johnson. Herbert fully believes in him. Harbaugh fully believes in him. He's got the pedigree. He's a former first-round pick. He's always had the talent. Talent has never been a question for Quentin Johnson. QJ, it's always been about consistency, drops, confidence, all the things that we're finally starting to see coming together for him. The targets have been there. The yards have been there. He's a big play guy. I think he's someone that I can throw into a flex or wide receiver 2 spot and just, hope for big plays. And he's going to produce them more often than not if Herbert's operating at this level that he is so far this year. So I was kind of tired of looking at Meat Higgins on my roster. Didn't really want him anymore. I'm just kind of out on this version of the Bengals. So I'm gonna ride QJ here, the number 5 receiver in fantasy. I think he keeps it up. I think he outscores Higgins the rest of the season. So QJ, welcome to the team.
Okay, even if I were to agree with you on, I don't agree that T's not going to be good. I like T as like a low end 2, inconsistent 2 type of receiver, and I feel like Quinn Johnson is more of an inconsistent 3. But even if I were to agree with your premise, I feel like you could have gotten just more value for T. Higgins. So
trust me, I tried. I spent the entire day on the phone.
Some of the, just to help me contextualize what you felt like you had to settle for, because I feel like this is a classic Ty felt like he had to get rid of somebody and was willing to just get anything and just talked himself into some random bum. But why don't you talk me through maybe some of the offers you tried to go for before you landed here, so I know what you weren't able to get?
I was not able to get anything. I tried to get Zay Flowers. I tried to get, that was a straight up offer. I tried to pony up a 2-for-1 for Rome Odunze. It seemed like no one was valuing T anywhere close to what he was drafted, which fair because he lost the quarterback.
You offered T and what for Rome?
Pearsall, I think. No, I think it was Pearsall or something like that. But basically what I found was, and this is kind of, I mean, the reason I want to trade him, right, is like almost all of T's value is tied to what Burrow, like that 5,000 yards, tons of touchdowns. It's the reason you went all in on the super stack. You believe so much in Joe Burrow being like an MVP caliber player. And without Burrow, T. Higgins, it's shown it throughout his entire career. Without Burrow, Higgins is like a 4 for 50 guy, and he scores a touchdown every 3 games. I don't want that. I don't have any use for that. There's no upside there. I think T. Higgins is a fine player, but the reason I took him in round 4 is not because of T. It's because of Joe, and if Joe's not there, I don't want him. So I'll take a chance on a talented player that's catching deep balls from Justin Herbert. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really see any downside to this trade. I think I won this trade pretty easily. And before everyone starts roasting me in the group chat, I offered everyone trades for T. Higgins.
I never got an offer for T. Higgins.
I offered everyone T.
You
Higgins
did not offer me.
I offered pretty much everyone.
I did not receive an offer for Meat Higgins.
But yeah, I don't know. There's times in fantasy, like Cole said earlier, you just kind of got to go off vibes, and the vibes on Higgins for me were just so down. I mean, hey, ESPN, you can get on to me, but ask ESPN. ESPN's got QJ projected for more points this week than T. Higgins.
I feel like saying there's no downside to QJ is like one of the most.
I think the reason he didn't get fought for on waivers after week 1 is because it was kind of like we've seen this before. One big game from QJ, it's a flash in the pan. To follow up that performance with another one is showing a level of consistency that we have not really seen from QJ in his career. And going back to last year, you want to add even one more game to the sample size. He scored 25 fantasy points in week 18 last year. So in his last 3 regular season games, Quentin Johnson is averaging 20 fantasy points. I don't think it's crazy to say that QJ has found himself, and that if Herbert is operating at this level, you can laugh, but tell me where I'm wrong. Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, slot merchant, low ADOT, first down possession guys. QJ is the field stretcher, and he doesn't come off the field. His snap percentages are great. His role is great. I just think,
I feel like we're gonna play back this clip in like 5 weeks, and you're just gonna like be laughing at yourself for like he's gonna have like 2 weeks in a row where he goes like 2 for 20 or something, and you're just gonna be like,
I don't need to start him. If he goes 2 for 20 on my bench, I don't care, and I wasn't gonna start Higgins either. I just think take out the QJ part of it. What could T. Higgins realistically do to make me feel dumb about this?
I think Jake Browning is one of the more quality backups.
You sound more delusional than me talking about QJ. You're trying to hype up Jake.
He literally threw a great touchdown to T. Higgins last week. If that hadn't happened and T. Higgins finished with like 1 catch for 15 yards, I would be more agreeing with you. But we literally saw it
and 2 defenders ran into each other like morons and fell down.
They only ran into each other because he dropped a dime, and then T. Higgins made them run into each other. Like that's.
He also threw 3 picks and looked horrible for most of the game, and was just hyper targeting Jamar Chase close to the line of scrimmage. So I'm not going to overreact to one deep ball. Trust me, I even sent tweets of that video of the touchdown around. I tried to sell high. I tried to sell people on T. Higgins. No one bit. So I made a deal.
Yeah. All right. Well, this will be one we have to monitor closely moving forward. So yeah, the live trade review, not something we've seen much before. So
how did you know that was coming?
Josh mentioned it to me at flag football, or maybe he texted me. I can't remember.
All right. And then next, we're actually going to do a surprise segment. This is called Top 5. Before we get into our Week 3 preview, we're going to go through the top 5 at each position in fantasy points. I've got it pulled up here. I'm going to let you guess. You get 3 strikes per position. We'll start with quarterback. We're just looking for the top 5 in fantasy points.
Top 5?
Top 5.
Justin Herbert.
He is number 3. Who has his wide receiver 1? Oh, that'd be me. Yeah. Hibbett is number 3.
Lamar.
Lamar is number 1.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen is number 5.
Daniel Jones.
Indiana Jones is number 4, so you're just missing number 2.
Patrick Mahomes.
Mahomes is 7, so that's
7.
1 strike. You get 2 more guesses before you're out on QB.
Okay. Jaden Daniels.
Nope, not even in the top 10.
God, he sucks. Number 2.
Yeah, number 2.
Jeez, who am I forgetting? It's probably someone like super obvious.
He had a really good game this week.
God, there's no way. Yeah, it's not Russell Wilson.
No, it's not Russell. Russ is 9th, though. He's in the top 10.
All right, who is it?
It is Jared Goff was the number. Is currently the QB2. All right, running back. Give me the top 5 running backs.
Jonathan Taylor.
JT's number 3.
James Cook.
Number 1. Who has him?
Christian McCaffrey.
Number 5.
Is Derrick Henry still up there even with the bad game?
Nope, he's number 10. So you got 2 more in the top 5.
Bijan.
Bijan's number 4. You're just missing number 2. That number 2, you just can't seem to nail it down.
Number 2 fantasy running back is Javonte Williams.
That is correct. Javonte Williams. All right, wide receiver. Give me the top 5.
Jamar Chase.
No, Jamar's 7.
Quentin Johnston. Is this whole segment just so you can delays Quentin Johnston?
Number 5 wide receiver in fantasy on my fantasy team.
Sun God.
Yep, number 3.
Malik Neighbors.
Number 1.
Puka Nakua.
Number 2, you're missing number 4.
Number 4. CD?
No.
No, he hasn't scored a touchdown yet.
This guy has scored 3 touchdowns.
This guy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, that probably made it the bum.
He was a top 7 round pick, top 8 round pick.
Debo?
No. I'll give you a hint. He wasn't built in a day.
Oh, Romadunze.
Yep, number 4 receiver in fantasy. All right, tight end. Give me the top 5.
Tucker Kraft.
Number 1.
Jawan Johnson.
Number 3.
Is Kelsey up there?
He's 6th.
Tyler Warren.
Number 4. You need 2 and 5.
2 and 5 at tight end. Trey McBride.
He's 5th. You just need number 2, and it is not Brock Bowers.
Yeah, it's got to be someone who's caught at least one. Have they caught a touchdown?
Mm-hmm. I think they've caught 2.
Oh, Ertz, right?
Yeah, Zach Ertz. So, top 3 tight ends in fantasy. You got Tucker Kraft, Zach Ertz, and Jawan Johnson, just as we all expected. All right. Now we're going to get into the Week 3 preview. Week 3 is here. It is a pivotal Week 3. Who's going to be 3-0, 2-1, 1-2, 0-3? The rubber meets the road in Week 3, especially for those 1-1 teams looking to swing their record one way or the other. Quick standings review as we head into Week 3. Right now we've got a top 3, a bottom 3, and a clump of 4 in the middle. You've got myself, Cannon, and Andrew at 2-0. You, Cole, Josh, and Luke, interestingly enough, are all 1-1 and in the East Division. And then all in the West Division, 0-2, 0-2, 0-2 for Will, Max, and Jeremiah. So it's early, but just, quick standings review before we get into the week. Would you like to break down one of our irrelevant matchups for Week 3?
Yes. All right. Irrelevant matchups. We have Cole versus Cannon. So 2-0 versus 1-1 here. ESPN's got Cannon slightly favored. So after the trade, we're going to take a look at how it affects this. For Cannon, he's got Mahomes versus Jalen Hurts. Mahomes has been better than expected, but I do think on the road at the Giants in primetime, I'll prefer Jalen Hurts. I think he gets back on track. So I got Cole the advantage at quarterback. At running back, Cole's got Bijan against Carolina. That's a great matchup. Breece Hall at Tampa Bay. Cannon's got Saquon and Kyron in the same game, Rams-Philly. So that Rams-Philly game is actually pretty big for Cole and Cannon, considering Cole has Hurts as well. I'll give Cole the advantage at running back as well. I think that Rams-Eagles game is going to be kind of low scoring, which will hurt Saquon and Kyron. And then Bijan's matchup is just insane. At receiver, Cannon sticking with BTJ one more week against Houston. JSN home against the Saints. That's barbecue chicken. Cole's got Neighbors versus the Chiefs and DK Metcalf. I actually like the DK Metcalf matchup against New England. I'm a little concerned about Brian Thomas Jr., especially being shadowed by Stingley. And then Neighbors, obviously, is a god. So I'm actually going to go with Cole at receiver as well. I'm a little surprised that I'm favoring Cole in some of these positions. Tight end, Kraft versus Pitts. I'll take Kraft there. Flexes, this is definitely where Cannon flexes his muscles against Cole. Roma Dunze against Dallas. Javonte Williams against Chicago. That should be a shootout. 2 good plays in that game. And then Cole's going embarrassingly with Khalil Shakir, Hollywood Brown. Absolute bums. So, I don't know. I actually like Cole's team a little bit more than I thought, but I feel like the flexes are so much more of an advantage that I'm going to roll with Cannon in this one. I feel like Cannon's been more of a proven performer this year. Cole's team, we don't really like the trade. Not sure that there's going to be instant dividends on that one. So give me Cannon, but in a close one, 125 to 122.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with Cole. I think Bijan rips into the Panthers, goes for 30 fantasy points, and this one will almost certainly come down to Sunday Night Football. Chiefs versus Giants, Patrick Mahomes versus Malik Neighbors. Cole is also rolling out the Chiefs DST, so he is going to be rooting for a defensive slugfest. Oh wait, No, he's starting the DST against Neighbors. Okay, maybe he's a moron. But either way, I'm going to pick Cole. I just think Cannon's due for a loss. He's starting to get a little bit smug in the group chat, and the fantasy gods will humble him. I'm going to go with Cole. Taking this one down, Neighbors goes off on Sunday night. Cole wins 134 to 118. All right. Looking at our next irrelevant matchup here, we've got the Bear Jew versus Suck My Ditka. 0-2 versus 2-0. This is a must win for William McCombs. These two traded quarterbacks in the preseason, Lamar for Josh Allen. We'll see if it comes back to bite either one of them. They're both projected 27. Josh Allen plays tomorrow night home against the Dolphins. The Dolphins defense has been a train wreck. Josh Allen's looked pretty good. We saw in week 1, he went for 40. Last week, he went for 11. You got to think week 3 is going to be somewhere in between. For Andrew, you almost just hope the Dolphins can keep up scoring so that Josh Allen has to keep doing stuff, and then you're just kind of playing touchdown roulette in the red zone. Is it going to go to James Cook? Is it going to be Josh Allen? Feel like Josh Allen hasn't done a ton of running so far this year. I'll confirm that real quick. No, he's actually been running quite a bit. He's got 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns in week 1, 60 rushing yards last week. So he's still the stallion, but not quite as good at running as Lamar. Lamar also in prime time on Monday night home against the Lions. That game's going to be huge for Will because he's also got Jahmyr Gibbs on the Lions side against Baltimore. So there is a high chance that Will's going to need upwards of 40 or 50 points coming into that game, and you can't even say it's out of the question he gets it with how good Lamar's been to start the year. And then his other running back matchup is going to be DeAndre Swift home against the Cowboys. Cowboys defense has been horrible, and Swift has been mostly a workhorse. I know they got Manungai a little bit more involved last week, but I think that was mostly due to the score of the game. So I like Swift to maybe have his best game of the season there home against Dallas. And then over on Andrew's side at running back, he's got Bucky Irving home against the Jets. Just saw a tweet before we went live on the pod that the Bucs have lost an interior guard, so now they're down 3 linemen. Rashad White also got a little bit more involved in week 2, looked good running the ball, actually averaged more yards per carry than Bucky. Could maybe see Bucky's role continue to fall a little bit more down to what it was last year in that 60-40, 50-50 role. And then this can't be, oh my God, is he actually starting Tony Pollard? Yep, Trevion Henderson to the bench. And he's going Pollard over Bill Krosky. I guess it's not a horrible play. Pollard home against the Colts. Tajay Spears is still out, and Pollard's been a workhorse so far. He had 19 touches in week 1, 20 in week 2. So you're getting a 20 touch back at home against the Colts. Can't shit on that play too much here. But overall, I just have to give Will the advantage at running back because Jahmyr Gibbs is so explosive, and I think he's going to go off there in that shootout on Monday night. Wide receiver, we've got Drake London at Carolina. Drake London off to a really slow start, but Carolina is the medicine that any offense needs. And then Mike Evans home against the Jets. On Andrew's side, he's got CeeDee Lamb against the Bears, who just gave up 35 points to Sun God and even another 80 yards and touchdown to J-Mo. And then his wide receiver 2 right now is Jacoby Myers at Washington. I don't even care who his wide receiver 2 is. I'm giving Andrew the advantage at wide receiver because of CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee Lamb is going to go absolutely bonkers in Chicago, causing a double whammy there for Will and a fake fan conundrum for Andrew. Tight end, we've got Ertz, the number 2 tight end in fantasy, versus Juwan Johnson, the number 3 tight end in fantasy, as we just discussed. 2 surprise guys, neither one drafted in our league, but now are both starting. Andrew in place of the injured Kittle, and Will in place of the terribly drafted. I don't even remember who he drafted. Some bum.
Mark Andrew.
Oh, God. Home Vegas at Seattle. I feel like this is going to be pretty much a wash. Whichever one of these guys catches the touchdown is who will win this matchup. I guess I'll go Ertz just because he's at home, although he might be without his quarterback. But I think this is going to be Rattler. I think they're going to get just crushed in Seattle. I don't really like anything about the Saints this week. Flexes, Sutton at the Chargers, Pickens at Chicago, another fake fan conundrum there for Will. And then Andrew's going with Jawan Jennings and Devontae Smith. It's hard when you get to these flexes when they're both double receiver and there's kind of in that like low end 2, high end 3 blob projected between 9-11 points. I don't love the setup for any of these guys. Sutton coming off a horrible game. I think the one that's actually most likely to go off is Pickens, just because Chicago's secondary is so bad, and apparently Dennis Allen, the way he likes to defend the Cowboys is doubling Lamb. So if he's leaving Pickens one-on-one on the outside, I could see some big plays for Pickens. But I just don't really see it for Devontae and Jawan Jennings. Cardinals are banged up in the secondary, so I could see Jawan having a good game. Purdy apparently practiced today, so that might help the Niners passing offense. But I think I'm going to give Will the advantage at flex. DST kicker, who cares? I'm going to go with Will. I know he's 0-2, but his back's against the wall. He really needs this one. I think it comes down to Monday night, and the group chat all gets together on the couches with their popcorn, and we watch Lamar Jackson and Jahmyr Gibbs go off. I'm going to say he needs 51 points to get the dub, and he gets it. Will takes this one down 132 to 127.
I'm also going to go with Will. Kind of agree with a lot of what you said. I don't really love Andrew's team. I don't know. I feel like he's playing a lot of low level, bad offenses. Just Jawan Johnson, Jacoby Myers, Tony Pollard. I don't really see a lot of upside with Andrew's team. So I'm also going to go with Will, similar to what you said. So, okay, last relevant matchup. God, this one's so relevant. It's a Mickey Mouse.
You're going to want to hide your eyes from the TV screen on this one.
Yeah, this is your Mickey Mouse matchup of the week. We've got Max Hendricksy versus Jeremiah Ojeda. Nah, Jesus is King versus Renaissance. 0-2 versus 0-2. So you know the loser of this one's already looking at sacko matchups. So yeah, loving the gifts here. At least you tried. So okay, I talked to Max at Flag Football. I don't even think he set his lineup for the most part. I don't.
No, he put Mason in there. He
did put Mason in, but he still has Stroud in. Not sure he's going to keep that. I don't really know why he would stick with Stroud at this point.
We said that last week.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping he doesn't keep CJ Stroud in, but assuming he does.
His only other quarterback's field and he's hurt. So who on waivers would he play?
I'm just hoping he makes a move there just for his own sanity. But we're gonna have to act like it's Stroud. So Stroud versus Baker. Baker obviously has played pretty well, so gotta lean that way for Jerry. At running back, Marion Hampton, Jordan Mason. I like Jordan Mason a lot against the Bengals at home with no Aaron Jones. Marion Hampton is an absolute bum, but honestly, Max doesn't have anyone else to play. Isaiah Pacheco is a bust. Ollie Gordon's on his team. I don't really know why. But looking at Jerry's running backs, Achane, Kamara, that's like a solid duo. Achane's probably going to get a bunch of dump offs against the Bills. Kamara just...
Yeah, I smell a garbage time touchdown there with Achane.
For sure. And then Kamara just always seems to get at least 10, 11 points. So even though I like Jordan Mason, got to lean Jerry at running back too. Receiver, this is where Max kind of shines. Puka Nacua, Garrett Wilson. I guess Tyrod's probably going to be the quarterback for the Jets, so we don't really know what to expect.
No, it's not probably. It's already been announced.
Okay, it's already been announced. Tyrod. Honestly, he can't be that bad for Garrett Wilson compared to Justin Fields. So, we'll see. Justin Jefferson will have Carson Wentz. We really have no idea what to expect there. But the Bengals...
I would potentially argue Wentz at this moment is probably a better passer than McCarthy.
Yes, but McCarthy's been so bad that that's not really saying much. Now, against the Bengals, I do think Jefferson has sneaky upside with Carson Wentz. Terry McLaurin against the Raiders, I actually like that matchup too. So
we don't know who his quarterback's going to be.
That's true. If it was Mariota, I wouldn't like it as much. But yeah, this one's tough because there's a lot of quarterback issues with all these receivers. Puka is clearly the easy one, but at Philly is not like the easiest matchup. But either way, I'll throw Max a bone here at receiver. Tight end, we've got Kelsey and Hawkinson. Kind of two
still starting Hawkins.
kind of two washed bums here. Hawkinson, the number 44 ranked tight end after 2 weeks. Kelsey has looked better, but I don't know. I feel like he looks kind of washed too, but he's at least better than Hawkinson.
Did Jerry even try for a tight end on waivers, or is he just giving up on the season?
I guess he's just giving up. I don't really know what Jerry is doing. Flexes, we've got Nico Collins and Marvin Harrison for Max, Xavier Worthy and David Montgomery for Jerry. I'm not really sure Xavier Worthy's going to play. He's kind of been practicing. If he does, he's been wearing a shoulder brace that I'm not sure. Like I wouldn't be confident playing Worthy in his first game injured. So
who else?
I don't know.
Wandale.
I would throw in Wandale over Worthy just for safety, honestly. Yeah, I really wouldn't. I would be pretty worried about throwing Worthy out there in this matchup. And then I don't really like the matchup for David Montgomery either at Baltimore. So I got to give Max the nod with Harrison and Collins at flex. So this one's kind of tough. I kind of like Jerry at quarterback and running back. I kind of like Max everywhere else. I feel like, God, it feels gross to pick either of these teams, but I'm just gonna throw Max a bone. I just can't pick Jerry's squad. It's so bad. It's gonna be a low scoring game. This is definitely gonna be the Mickey Mouse win of the week. It's gonna be like 90 to 85 Max.
Yeah, this game is like the videos you see of like two homeless people just trying to beat the shit out of each other in the middle of the street. So I am going to also go with Max by default. Just don't think Jerry has the horses in this one to get the win. Really don't know. I really hate that he's starting TJ Hawkinson. I think that's like fantasy manager malpractice at this point. I'm going to take Max similar to you, maybe not as low scoring. I'll say 107 to 60. All right. It is time for what everyone has been waiting for this entire 1 hour and 30-minute episode. It is your Showtime matchups of the week presented by Apple Computers and Gatorade Zero. That's right, 2 sponsors for 2 Showtime matchups. It is Bogo Caniacs versus Circle the Wagons. You guys are both 1-1. Not a must win for either, but you really like to be 2-1 rather than 1-2. Quarterbacks here. 2 quarterbacks making their fantasy debuts for these teams as you picked up Caleb Williams for $30 uncontested off the waiver wire. He is at home taking on a Dallas secondary that just gave up a 30-burger to Russell Wilson. So I'm sure you're expecting a big game from Caleb Nail Painting Williams. And then Justin Hibbett, who, when he's not screwing that professional chess player woman, is dicing up NFL defenses. Justin Herbert has been great so far, averaging 28 fantasy points. Luke goes all in, trades for him, and is immediately put in the lineup. I think this is an interesting quarterback matchup here. I am going to side with Herbert. I think the matchup is better for Williams, but Herbert's just a better quarterback, so I'm going to go with Herbo here. Running back, you're going with JT, fresh off that monster performance at Tennessee. I think historically he dominates Tennessee from what I can remember in the AFC South. And then Chase Brown, it's going to be interesting to see how Chase Brown's role evolves as we move into this Jake Browning phase of 2025 for Cincinnati. Are they going to throw to him out of the backfield just as much? Are they going to lean more on the run to protect Browning? We know there's not going to be as many red zone opportunities. So will he be able to score the touchdowns? Because that was a big part of his appeal there at the 2-3 turn for you. He is at Minnesota, who has a pretty good run D. Actually, don't love the matchup very much there for Chase Brown. And then for Luke, he's going with Christian McCaffrey, the number 6-7 pick in the draft, home against the Arizona Cardinals. That feels barbecue chickeny to me. And then Chuba Hubbard, home against the Falcons. Carolina losing those interior offensive linemen worries me for Chuba, but he's been pretty safe so far. He gets the work. It's all going to come down to Carolina's offense show a pulse. I feel like Chuba's production has been pretty garbage timey so far through the first 2 weeks. I think both of his touchdowns have been in the fourth quarter of those games as they're coming back. So, I do think Christian McCaffrey is gonna carry the day here for Luke and give him the advantage at running back. I'm a little nervous about Chase Brown, to be honest with you. All right, at wide receiver, Jamar Chase, the 101. Can he overcome not having his LSU running mate Joe Burrow? He did last week. Can he keep it up again here at Minnesota? And then Tyreek Hill trying to put Luke in a fake fan double. No, it's a double whammy at Buffalo on Thursday night. You know they're going to be chasing points. Tua looked a little bit better in week 2 than week 1. He's got to keep it up here in week 3. And then for Luke, Sun God, fresh off of 35 points. Is that more to come, or is regression on the way? Devontae Adams looked a little better with his connection with Stafford in week 2, but he's taking on a tough Phillies secondary. I am going to go this one's tough. I think for 1 week, I'm going to give Jamar Chase the benefit of the doubt that he is him, and it doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball. And then I do think the game script will be there for Tyreek. So I'm going to say you do win the wide receiver battle here. I just think Sun God got his 35 points last week, and he doesn't get to carry those into this week. And I think he'll have a fine game. That's going to be a shootout Monday night against Baltimore, but I just think he's not going to do what he did last week. Maybe he puts up like 13, 14 points, something like that. And similar for Adams, maybe even less. I don't think Adams scores this week. I'm thinking maybe 11. I think one of your guys goes for 20. I don't know which one, but one of them will. Tight end, Fergie, another $30 waiver wire overspend. And then Brock Bowers. You're getting Brock in a nice spot here. His knee's banged up. Geno looks like shit. They're at Washington. Pretty good defense on the road. I'm going to give you the advantage at tight end with a waiver wire guy over Brock Bowers. I'm sure Luke will clip this and put it into his championship montage or roast me or something. But I don't know. I just think that's going to be a shootout. Ferguson's been great. Dax looked great. Now, I do think Ferguson gets 80-plus yards and a touchdown there, and I just think Bowers is hurt. He's not Bowers right now. He didn't look right on Monday night. So short week too. So who knows if he even practices at all this week. All right, flexes. We've got Calvin Ridley, and you should have started him last week. J.K. Dobbins versus Keenan Allen, Deebo Samuel, the two Weight Watchers boys themselves. What are the matchups? Home Colts at Chargers, Denver and Vegas. These are pretty gross for 10-team league flexes. I don't kind of feel like bench options to me, but I think Keenan's been pretty good to start the year. If Daniels plays, I do like Deebo to at least get double-digit fantasy points. It's hard to love Ridley with what Cam Ward's put on display so far, but this is potentially their best matchup yet. They had a rough start with Denver and the Rams. Colts should be a little bit softer in the secondary, and then J.K. Dobbins has been good, but Chargers defense has looked great so far. So I'm going to say I like Luke's flexes a little bit better just based on matchup, based on potential. Keenan, these guys, they may wear down as the season goes on because they're old and fat, but right now it's working. So overall, when I look at this matchup, I think 2 1-1 teams. Circle the Wagons has that championship acumen. This is the champion and sacko kind of meeting here for the first time in 2025. I picked you last week, and I'm actually going to pick against you this week. I'm going to say Luke circles the Wagons right over your fat face and beats the crap out of you this week. I think this one could come down to Monday night. We've got Sun God. I think you'll be up kind of somewhere to you were with Lad. You'll be up somewhere around 13, 14 points, but this time the opponent's player comes through. Sun God gets it done, outscores Tyler Loop just enough to give Luke the victory, 119 to 116.
Yeah, I'm going to go with myself here. Definitely don't feel as confident without the Joe Burrow mega stack, but I like grabbing Caleb Williams against Dallas, and I think he has some tougher matchups on the road that I don't think his guys are going to do well in. So I think I'll end up beating Luke, but in a close one, like you mentioned. Okay, let's look at our last matchup, Showtime of the week. 2-0 White Shirt versus 1-1 Ugly Ducklings. You versus Josh here. All right, looking at you guys just made a trade, so we'll see if that comes into play. I don't actually think. Oh, you are starting Quentin Johnston. Breaking news is you have benched Ricky Pearsall. But all right, let's start from the top. Looking at quarterback, Dak Prescott at Chicago. Chicago's defense just let up 50 piece to the Lions, so I'm sure you're feeling great about Dak. Josh has Jaden Daniels in. Obviously, he's got a knee sprain, questionable. Doesn't look like he's practicing at all this week, so you have to feel pretty good about Jaden Daniels either not playing or if he plays being really limited with his mobility. So, and if Jaden Daniels is out, Josh did pick up Daniel Jones, but who's looked good, but I think on the road at Tennessee, you're not going to really fear that. I think I'm going to lean Dak either way. I think you have the advantage at quarterback this week in that shootout in Chicago. Looking at running back, Josh Jacobs at Cleveland. Kind of a tough matchup, actually. James Cook, but James Cook home against the Dolphins. That's about as barbecue chicken as it gets. James Cook, you're Thursday night, you're expecting to get off to a good start. James Cook, maybe a 30-piece, couple touchdowns. For him, he's going with Ken Bone Walker, Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry Monday night, you're definitely going to be sweating that one out, hoping Derrick Henry doesn't have 2 touchdowns in that one. Ken Walker, I kind of like that matchup for Ken Walker. He looked good last week, home against the Saints. Usually I hate Ken Walker, but this week I'm actually fine with him. So overall, I might actually give the advantage to Josh. I don't know, Josh Jacobs matchup against Cleveland, I don't love. So, but I think honestly it's kind of a wash. Receivers, you're pretty weak at receiver right here. You traded away T. Higgins. You're still don't have Rashee Rice. So you're going with Tedero McMillan home against the Falcons and Quentin Johnston against Denver. Don't really love that QJ play against Denver. Pat Surtain might end up being on him. I'd probably play Pearsall if I were you, but I guess I understand riding the hot hand with Quentin. But either way, looking at Josh's receivers, I like them a little bit better. A.J. Brown, Lad McConkey. McConkey showed up on the injury report, but he should be fine. And I think overall he's still going to lead the Chargers in fantasy points.
Oh, and Pearsall has been put into the lineup.
Oh, okay, it doesn't really matter. AJ Brown, this is kind of the prove it week for AJ Brown. Home against the Rams. Rams defense has been good, but I feel like there's all the chatter about Hurts, the passing game, AJ Brown. This is kind of the week that they either put up or shut up, and I think it'll fall somewhere in between. He'll probably have I think he does score this week, but maybe like 60 yards. So not like a huge game, but I do like AJ Brown to bounce back, Lad McConkey to be okay since Pat Surtain probably won't be on him. And you're just kind of weak at receiver right now. So I'm going to lean Josh at receiver. Tight end, we got a couple studs here, McBride and Warren. Kind of a wash, but obviously McBride's been just so involved. He already has 16 targets the first 2 weeks. What does Warren have? Oh, they also have 16 targets. So similar amount of targets here, kind of a wash. Flexes, you've kind of got Genty here as a slap on the wrist flex play. I know you're pretty butthurt about what you've seen from Genty and the Raiders offense. And at Washington, not the best matchup, but you're kind of hoping he falls in the end zone. Same thing with Jalen Warren, although it is a great matchup. New England's defense has been pretty bad. Warren's a really solid flex. And then we got 2 running backs versus 2 receivers at flex. He's going with DJ Moore, Zay Flowers. I do like the matchups for both of those guys. Dallas at home is about as good as it gets for DJ Moore. And then that Monday night game against Detroit just feels like a shootout. Feels like Zay could have a big game. So I know you're kind of fearful of his flexes there, although you also have strong running backs at flex. So kind of a wash there. A lot of washes across the board here. You have advantage at quarterback. He has advantage at receiver. I don't know. I think this one could be close. I definitely think it comes down to Monday night. He's got Henry and Flowers. You don't have anyone. So I don't know. I think you're gonna be up like maybe 35 and really just praying that it's a low scoring game. But I do think it's a shootout. I think Derrick Henry scores at least once, has 100 yards. Zay Flowers, 100 yards as well. But he does not get in the end zone. Derrick Henry, only 1 touchdown. They combine for about 30, and you survive on Monday night. Maybe they're even down by the goal line, and you're so scared Henry's going to plunge in, and then Lamar grabs the ball, runs in the end zone. I think you take this one down in a close Monday night thriller. I'm going to go 137 to 135. White shirt will get it done and move to 3-0.
Good pick by you. I'm also going to take myself here. Just think I'm better at fantasy than Josh. I don't think Jaden Daniels is going to play. I'm a little worried about the questionable tags that have popped up for a few of my guys. Jacobs with an ankle, Warren with a toe. Maybe it's just Wednesday veteran rest days, but I do like your call on the at Cleveland matchup. Cleveland has completely shut down Chase Brown and then Derrick Henry in the run game. So I'm a little nervous about what Jacobs might put up there fantasy wise, but I have to start him. He's a workhorse. The projection shows that. So yeah, I'm gonna take myself here. I just feel like my team's better. Josh is he's trading half his roster in a panicky mood. So I think I like my chances here. I'm gonna take myself maybe a little bit lower scoring, 124 to 114, win by 10. All right, this has been your Week 2 recap, Week 3 preview presented by Gatorade Zero. We had a blockbuster 3-way trade that we broke down, plus a live trade made on air. Great episode of the Showtime Pod. We'll be back at you next week after a pivotal Week 3 to break down all the action, tell you guys what's going to happen the rest of the season. As always, thank you guys all for listening, and we will be with you guys next week.